Alright. You and I are diving into a world where boarding a crowded subway train is actually a total luxury. Looking at the faces around him, he imagined wrapping up his deliveries and finally seeing his family again after a really long time. But that was just a daydream. In truth, there was no subway, and he was completely alone. He was just picturing his mother and imagining their sweet reunion, thinking of when he was little, back when his world felt as small as a train car. But that subway? Total fantasy. The dark corner of his actual location held only a rotting skeleton. He was not in a cozy home or a bustling city. He was stranded in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. An old guy once told him that 40 years ago, long before the boy was even born, things were completely different. The world was peaceful and safe until a sudden tragedy struck. Mysterious black pillars rained down from the sky like a terrifying storm, detonating everywhere like massive, city-destroying bombs. Society crumbled instantly, leaving nothing but dust and a few desperate survivors, or at least, that is the tale the old man told. Most of the old-timers' stories sounded like crazy fairy tales, but this one made the absolute least sense of all. Packing tons of strangers into a tight metal tube? Honestly, that is just begging to get slaughtered. The old man claimed it worked because the past was peaceful, but our main character is not buying it. But pay attention here in this brutal world. Anyone even talking about peace is considered a total lunatic. Still, he secretly wished to ride a fast train through the dark tunnels one day. But suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed through his abandoned hideout, and he had to duck for cover. Two armed soldiers were scouting the area for supplies or survivors. He wanted to avoid a fight and slip away, but a blood-splattered soldier noticed his tracks on the dusty ground. The other soldier raised his rifle, shouting into the dark. But when our boy stepped out, the soldier lowered his weapon, telling his buddy to relax, since it was only a postman. Staring at their gear, the postman calmly pointed out that they were making way too much noise. The confused soldier asked what kind of letters he was actually delivering. The postman replied that he was delivering a warning about an upcoming aerial invasion, finishing up his daily route. Looking closely, he could tell they had just survived a brutal battle, since only the two of them were left. You and I should pay close attention to this exchange. The soldier politely offers some food, but our clever postman counters by offering his own rations for something much more valuable. The soldier listed his goods, some bandages, basic hygiene gear, and a working battery. But the postman immediately demanded ammo. The soldiers found this bizarre for a mail carrier, warning him that they only had 5mm rifle rounds. The postman calmly clarified that he did not need survival gear, only personal defense. Carrying light is rule number 1, and bullets are the ultimate currency, compact, weightless, and worth a fortune. But the soldier hesitated, saying they had to save their own ammo too. The postman pushed further, offering a snack and fresh water for just a single bullet. The soldier was baffled, asking if he was seriously trading all that food for one round. The postman nodded. Just one single bullet, no more, no less. All right. Let's see if these antibiotics are enough, actually that hard, or if they, his face, threatening to show him, both serve the exact same government. Cannot go back, calling him a useless. Why they cannot return. Then, it clicks. Swings a heavy rifle butt at him, his helmet visor. The second guard. He tracked the attack, noting his straight to the face. The knife wielder. He never claimed to be just that, on the soldier, getting grazed by to the ground. The dazed soldier, our hero just sighs that his fabric. He even knows how to sew a sleeve. Totally stunned, the soldier wondered who this crazy delivery guy was and where he got a hunter's pistol. Our hero just tapped his uniform emblem and calmly repeated that he was simply a postman. Later on, he sat alone, stitching up his torn sleeve, already dreading the earful he'd get back at headquarters. A quick, messy stitch was all it took to hide the fact that it had ripped. Given the beating his armor took, he definitely should have squeezed more out of those soldiers, but at least he got enough to repair the damage. Then, he kept moving. With only 3 hours left before the devastating strike, he marched forward until reaching a nearby base, where a guard demanded his identity. He held up his credentials, pointing to his uniform, and explained he carried an urgent warning. They had exactly 2 hours and 40 minutes left. The panicked rookie guard turned to the veteran to ask if this was real. The veteran grimly confirmed that warning people was indeed the postman's duty, and if one actually showed up at their gates, it meant a colossal pillar was about to crush them. The postman cut him off, demanding they sound the alarm immediately. Telling him to wait, the guard ran to find the captain. They let him inside the secure gates first, and he stepped under a sturdy metal roof. He was genuinely impressed this old place had survived. The survivors stared in shock at a real-life postman, their hearts sinking because his arrival meant they finally had to abandon their home. The guard escorted him directly to the captain, who looked like a completely ordinary guy. But our hero knew that entering any survival colony required keeping a few golden rules in mind. Rule number 1. You and I know it is studying their laws. Alright, let's dive into a world where communication was scarce, and strict laws were the only way to survive. Basically, that meant you kept quiet until someone actually spoke to you. The colony leader approached, patted the postman's shoulder, and acknowledged how brutal the journey must have been, before offering a warm drink. Later at the bar, the chief admitted he wanted to avoid panic, and asked if that terrifying black pillar was dropping right on top of them. The mailman confirmed it. Headquarters estimated they had barely 2 hours left. The leader scoffed, saying those numbers meant nothing, and demanded to know if the postman could actually read the raw data. He could not, so the chief straight up asked what their actual chances of surviving this strike were. The mailman simply shrugged, stating he was just a delivery guy, not a scientist. The boss pushed harder, insisting he must have witnessed an aerial drop before, but the postman claimed complete ignorance. A guard snapped, telling him to leave, but the boss calmed him down. The postman noted he still had an official job to finish. It was official government business. He set up a special tripod device designed to measure the impact force of the falling pillars, which would send crucial data back to headquarters for analysis. The chief pointed to their massive reinforced roof and asked if it might mess with the machine's readings. Now pay attention, according to experts, these pillars do not simply drop out of the sky. They act like living beasts, slowing down in the atmosphere to target their prey with terrifying precision. That roof would not save them. His only real advice? They had exactly 1 hour and 50 minutes left. As soon as he stepped outside, eager locals crowded him for trades, but he only wanted one thing: ammo. The room went dead silent until one guy stepped forward, offering a single grenade instead of bullets. After sealing the deal, the leader asked why he would want a risky grenade that might just misfire. The postman countered that explosives beat antibiotics any day, and looking closely, he could tell this beauty was ready to blow. He then asked why they had not evacuated yet, but the leader stubbornly insisted that their massive roof might hold. Plus, the chief had one last favor to ask. A quiet little girl who had been watching his every move introduced herself as Gyong-hoo. The chief explained that she claimed to have something incredibly important to deliver, and it would be far cheaper if the postman escorted her personally. The postman questioned why she wanted to tag along when he could easily just deliver the package for her. He told her to get lost, saying that only his own shadow could follow him, but watch this. The clever girl replied that she would be his shadow. He asked if she was up for that, warning her that a shadow is impossible to escape, and that is when she clicked on a flashlight. Annoyed, the postman snapped at her for wasting precious battery life like that, giving her a flat-out no, until she pulled out high-grade bullets to offer him. The chief warned her not to waste it, but she asked if mailmen were untrustworthy, prompting the postman to grab and inspect it. This poor outpost was the last place you would expect to see a kid carrying elite military ammo. The cartridge was almost full, and she was clearly packing a serious weapon on her back. He told her that ammo only bought a basic message delivery, but the leader stood firm. He insisted that the postman guide the girl to headquarters, while he stayed behind to defend their home, which was all they had. He could not let her face that journey alone. The postman muttered that roofs can always be rebuilt, ordering the girl to move out immediately. Once outside, he warned they had to sprint because the strike was imminent. She quietly asked if the roof would protect the colony. He said no. When she asked why he did not warn them, he explained that stubborn people will never leave anyway. Besides, there is always a tiny sliver of a chance they might somehow survive. With only 30 minutes left before the drop, a violent storm began to rage directly over the doomed colony. The guard from earlier asked the leader if he really intended to stay. He replied that this colony had been their home for years, and he was determined to guard it. The guard joked that at least he was finally drinking his vintage whiskey, and the chief offered him a glass. The guard asked if the postman had any last words, leaving us to wonder what he really said. All right. You and I are entering a wasteland where the postman only cares about himself, while little Gyunghui quietly chews some dried meat. The postman jokes that her bag is a bottomless pit since something always turns up. She offers him some meat, but he politely declines to inspect the ammunition cartridge. Each clip holds 30 bullets, but one is missing, meaning it has been fired. He knew the captain would not shortchange a kid, confirming a shot was fired, and little Gyunghui sincerely thanks him for keeping his word to her. The captain told her she could always trust a government-authorized postman. Even so, she still worried he would steal her ammo and ditch her. He coldly responds that there is nothing to abandon since she is tag-along, and he does not care what she does. Still wanting to thank him properly, she casually flips him the middle finger, leaving him to ask if she even knows what that means. She casually replies that, in her colony, it is a sign of deep gratitude. Correcting her, he explains gestures change by region, but shows her a truly universal sign. He lifts her thumb up, telling her it means thumbs up. Don't blink, because a sudden chill runs down her spine as the postman warns her of an incoming aerial invasion. Ducking behind a nearby wall, she tightly covers her ears from the deafening noise. The postman begins reciting a prayer about the silent rage of the heavens. Gigantic black pillars slam into the earth like massive needles. To her confused look, he explains he is quoting one of the very first survivors to witness an aerial invasion. Decades after the old world fell, these endless pillar drops are the main reason humanity can never rebuild. It is almost as if they are smart, specifically targeting major institutions. Only the headquarters and underground geofronts are safe. Right then, the destructive black pillars crash down on her home colony. A blinding white flash erupts into a massive explosion. Afterwards, the masked postman quietly surveys the remaining rubble. That colony had terrible luck, since most aerial invasions do not drop pillars this massive. He only heads back to salvage his measuring device, since communication core technology is incredibly rare in this network-free wasteland. But once he gets there, the device is completely ruined. Telling her they must head back, he waits patiently as she stares at her ruined childhood home before silently following him to the waiting vehicle. When her tears finally fall, he remarks that, despite being a total disaster, these black pillars have one beautiful quality. Following an invasion, the night stars always shine much brighter than on normal days. You see, it is his own blunt way of showing her that not everything is bad news. She asks if he is trying to comfort her, but he scoffs that crying is just a giant waste of energy for their long journey ahead. Smiling, she asks why he even does this job. But his answer is painfully obvious. To survive, of course. He then asks what package she is carrying that is worth this much trouble, but she notes he has not shared his story yet. Grumbling that she is a pain, he reluctantly pulls out his old subway train keychain. He explains that in the past, these massive machines carried people all over the country. She thinks the toy is tiny, but he explains the real trains were absolutely massive. He asks her to imagine rushing deep underground with hundreds of passengers, a machine taking you exactly where you want to go. It is just a relic of the old world, but he dreams of riding one, making her smile at his innocence. Then he cuts the sweet talk, asking how long she plans to hide that one missing bullet she stole from the captain. He has no plans to take her ammo. He just wanted her to cooperate, but she casually claims she actually ate it, leaving him completely baffled and questioning her sanity. She explains she ran out of dried meat, and there was nothing else to eat. He knows kids chew on fingernails when hungry, but eating a lead bullet is going way too far. Sighing, he promises to share his food next time she gets hungry, but a sudden, eerie noise cuts him off. Instantly ducking behind a wall, he warns Gyunghui to stay absolutely still. Monsters spawned from the pillars appear, their dark bodies shifting with a single, terrifying eye. He draws his knife to strike, but she beats him to it, firing a hidden bullet that instantly obliterates the beast, proving she had it all along. As the loud gunshot alerts the remaining creatures, the postman reacts instantly, slicing a monster throat with his blade. With one beast left, he drives his blade into its skull. And trust me, our journey is only beginning. You and I are jumping right into the chaos. But before he can strike, its arm spears straight through Gyunghu's chest. The postman demanded to know why she did not just stay put and listen to his warning. She whispered that his knife was not enough to save them. Shaken, he asked if she had been lying the whole time, keeping a single bullet hidden away. She smiled, saying her captain taught her how to survive in this brutal new world. You always need an ace up your sleeve, she gasped, before praising him for taking down those terrifying beasts. Checking her wounds, he calculated a mere 0.9% survival rate. Even with all their medical supplies, hope was practically gone. That gunshot was bound to bring swarms of monsters down on them, but suddenly, those cold statistics did not seem to matter. Knowing she was a goner, Gyunghu begged him for one final favor to deliver a precious letter for her. It was addressed to someone in Yeongdongpo, Seoul. But the postman scoffed, saying a letter was not worth dying for. As she pleaded, the postman realized the creatures were already closing in on their position. Pointing to the grenade he stole from the colony, she called it her delivery fee. She made him promise to finish the job, sealing it with a pinky swear. The swarming monsters rushed her, completely unaware that she was clutching a live grenade in her hand. Now watch closely, she detonates the beast swarm so he can deliver her letter. Offering a final, tragic smile, she triggered the explosion. When the dust settled, leaving only ash and charred limbs, the The postman put down the last twitching monster with his dagger. Digging into the hollow eye socket of a dead beast, he pulled out a valuable glowing monster core. Staring blankly up at the dark sky, he muttered that after a nightmare like this, sleep would not come easy for a long time. Soon after, he arrived at the new government headquarters. Director Bay approached him, mentioning he had just wrapped up his work, before noting how exhausted the postman looked. Had the mission gone south? No, nothing really, the postman mumbled. Director Bay reminded him about an upcoming special briefing, urging him not to miss it since it would be crucial for his career. When Woo Jung-guk replied that he was too exhausted, the director smiled, promising it would definitely catch his attention. Sitting among the other couriers during the briefing, Woo Jung-guk sat in a daze, haunted by Gyeong-hoo and her final moments. Another courier piped up, asking what kind of heavy-duty vehicles they could possibly use for such a massive cargo load. The presenter kept it a secret but promised they would see soon, pointing directly to their mapped-out transport route. You and I are probably just as shocked as him. They are actually rebuilding the old underground subway lines right now. He could hardly believe the subway was actually real. The official explained that the goal was moving military supplies through key hubs, which required fixing the underground transit system. They were secretly repairing the tracks, but needed heavy assistance for the prep stages before restoring the entire system. That is, when another official stepped up to explain. This dangerous mission was strictly reserved for their top-tier elite couriers. It was a trial run before official enlistment, and the bonus points offered for completing it were incredibly high. Woo Jung-guk had never seen this speaker before, who announced that interested candidates should head to the next room. Woo Jung-guk never dreamed that he would actually get to lay eyes on a real subway train. Maybe he would even ride it, but the speaker called him out, asking to see him in private. Entering the office, Woo Jung-guk questioned why he was being pulled aside instead of joining the others. The official revealed he was hand-delivering a secret mission meant solely for him. Woo Jung-guk felt a chill, realizing this man knew exactly who he was. Passing over a document, he explained the delivery was in the G-Man district, a highly secured government residential zone. Jobs there were usually easy, which immediately made Woo Jung-guk highly suspicious. They were babying him on purpose. Maybe Director Bay wanted him safe out of fear that he might actually get killed. After all, Woo Jung-guk's flawless record directly boosted the director's reputation. He asked if he should depart immediately, but the official shook his head, stating that task was for someone else. Confused, Woo Jung-guk demanded to know why he even showed him the file, to which the man replied he was just keeping him informed. So, you are going to tell me everything but forbid me from acting? The official nodded, explaining that Woo Jung-guk's record was just too pristine. And that was precisely the problem. It was as if he did not even exist before registering as a courier. There has to be something behind it, and trust me, you and I need to find out what. Alright, you and I are about to see this arrogant official get totally shut down by our main character, Woo Jung-guk. He denies it, claiming he is just introducing himself and making it clear he absolutely despises cheaters. Woo Jung-guk replies that he was so curious about this guy's true colors, he even thought about opening up to him, but the official snaps back, asking if Jung-guk even checked his record, which has always been number one. He fires back that despite his top rank, he has never handled any truly difficult missions. Woo Jung-guk immediately counters, saying he only makes them look easy because he is just that good. The official retorts that he only selected the absolute elite for this. Jung-guk asks if he is really being doubted just because he has never taken reckless risks. The official basically admits it, but right then, his walkie-talkie suddenly starts buzzing. He picks up and puts their talk on hold, and Jung-guk realizes this is his perfect opportunity. He is going to show him how a real express delivery is done. Later, Director B calls it impossible. Or rather, it is possible, but it would be absolute hell, and asks if he is really going to steal this gig. Woo Jung-guk scoffs at the word steal. He is just making sure the job actually gets done flawlessly. Director B says swapping the files is easy, but notes this is the first time Jung-guk has ever requested something like this. He wonders when the postman got so close to that official, and why he wants this specific task so badly. Jung-guk says he is working on it. Now, pay attention here, because our hero is about to show everyone what he is truly capable of. He was so close to finding that subway. As he walks, he starts calculating his real odds of survival. He remembers Gyeong-hui, knowing that even if she survived, she would have been severely wounded. Even with all the medicine and emergency treatment, the chances of actually keeping her alive were slim to none. Her voice thanking him echoes as he suddenly wakes up in his own bed. The next morning, he spots the same bespectacled official and points out that the little letter in his hand is the next delivery. The official snaps that he is busy and tells him to get lost. But Jungkook replies he is busy too delivering that exact letter. The official scoffs, saying that is impossible, since he personally checked the assigned postman's name multiple times. Jungkook reveals that the guy unfortunately could not make it, so he is taking over. And yes, all the paperwork is perfectly signed. Everything was swapped legally, following the exact protocols these high-ranking officials love so much. Most importantly, finishing a day early would prove his worth and secure him that next big mission. I know what you are thinking, is this guy just acting out of pride? But for him, it is strictly business. Before he leaves, the official tells Woo Jungkook that if he meets the deadline and returns completely scratch-free, he will consider his request. Woo Jungkook checks the sender, someone named Cho Young-han, from the new government complex. The name means nothing to him, and weirdly, the envelope is covered in cute little bunnies, not what he expected at all. Packing the letter away, his eyes fall on the monster core in his bag, a prize earned through Gyeong-hwee's tragic sacrifice. He needs to pause for a second before moving forward. Legend says that, as if the heavens held a silent rage, black pillars pierced the earth like needles, unleashing demons that spread like wildfire to devour humanity. Yet, in the depths of that absolute despair, the skies left behind one final gift, the core. A tiny droplet of hope, or maybe just another curse. Jungkook finally has one of these ultra-rare cores, but since he can't estimate its true worth on his own, he brings it to an old core appraiser named Hee Wong. Woo Jungkook asks the old man to inspect it just to be sure, promising to pay whatever his fee is. Wong wonders how a simple postman got his hands on this. Jungkook repeats that he will pay for the job, but Wong immediately snaps that it is completely pointless. He says asking him to appraise this is like telling someone to eat sushi and then inspect their own waste to see if it tastes different. He does not even need to test it to know it is pure garbage. Jungkook has dealt with this guy for years, but he is never recognized. The old man suffers from severe memory loss due to his advanced age. With no other choice, Woo Jungkook plays his usual card. He tells Wong a story about his daughter, claiming he delivered a message and she wanted to pass along her deepest thanks. Wong mutters that there is no need to thank him for something so small, but agrees to perform the inspection right then and there. Jungkook insists he cannot take a free favor, so he slides some valuable ammunition across the table as payment. He only used the sentimental lie to motivate the stubborn old man, not to cheat him out of his hard-earned money. And trust me, the crazy truth is, he never even met that girl. Alright, let's dive into a crazy world where a sick old man starts babbling about a daughter who never even existed. Woo Jungkook could easily exploit this to get free favors, but he still paid the man to keep things fair. After checking inside, Wong returned with shocking news. It was incredibly pure, but that actually made the damn thing completely useless. Using it was suicide. With a 99% failure rate, these cores required absolute, life-or-death precision. In this ruined wasteland, various cores kept humanity alive, like energy cores replacing electricity. Communication cores restored contact, but the Holy Grail were skill cores, granting humans legendary superhuman abilities. With failure rates over 95%, attempting it was madness. Woo Jungkook sighed, cursing his luck for ending up with the absolute worst one. Just then, the one person he desperately wanted to avoid blocked his path, Dr. Mong, the government's main physician. She scolded him for taking advantage of the old man's delusion, calling it cruel, and demanding he stop. But Woo Jungkook quickly defended himself, stating he always paid for his appraisals in full. She snapped back, calling it basic human decency and claiming he acted like a total sociopath. Now, pay attention here. Woo Jungkook was no saint, having bent the rules before to snatch a mission from Yong-han. He even had Director Ba manipulate the official paperwork. Since another postman already had the gig, he lied saying the guy was sick and stole the job. Feeling a bit guilty, he only left a brief apology note. Dr. Mong sighed, asking if it was really too much trouble to visit her clinic occasionally. Woo Jungkook grumbled that this nagging was exactly why he avoided her, but she insisted she was helping him, so he owed her. He shrugged, agreeing, but jokingly begged her to show him a little more respect. His legendary hunter days were long gone, now he was just a simple postman. As he walked away, we learned that in this harsh wasteland, people survived by risking it all on cores. Even with those terrifyingly low odds, the lucky ones managed to survive and gain unique superpowers. These gifted survivors became hunters, taking on dangerous, classified missions. Woo Jungkook used to be one. Soon, he received his next official briefing. The government demanded postman Woo Jungkook return safely within 48 hours. If he missed the deadline, he would be legally declared dead, and all his belongings forfeited to the state. Realizing Dr. Mong had wasted too much of his precious time, he knew he had to move fast. I know what you're thinking, easy job? Nope, his destination was a violent war zone in Namdong-gu, Incheon. With local rulers constantly killing each other, headquarters struggled to track the chaos. Worse, his destination was an isolationist colony known for hostile silence. The rules demanded direct delivery to the recipient, but Woo Jung-guk planned to speedrun this job. That way, those arrogant higher-ups would finally have to respect his skills. Pausing at a high vantage point, he looked out over the wasteland, recalling it had been ages since he last visited. Luckily, he remembered a safe zone nearby. Unfortunately, a massive black pillar now blocked the area. It was a tragedy, since this was one of the rare spots with active communication signals. Finding any local assistance now was completely out of the question. He prepared to take an alternative path, but suddenly overheard voices arguing about high prices. One voice snapped, asking for the plan, suggesting they just steal the resources and leave because he was ready to go solo. Woo Jung-guk realized they were just fellow postmen bickering. He recognized their faces from the department, which was perfect timing since he desperately needed some local help. The senior postman barked that he refused to trust shady people, declaring he was leaving, and they could do whatever they wanted. The younger one begged him to hear the strangers out. The mysterious men wore heavy hoods and carried massive backpacks, looking like wandering merchants. As Woo Jung-guk stepped closer, a merchant asked where he was traveling. He immediately noticed they were bartering with a dangerous local faction. The merchant offered a deal, promising safe guidance or a trade in exchange for a modest fee. Claiming they were peaceful men, they smiled. But Woo Jung-guk instantly recalled a golden rule of survival. In this world, anyone preaching peace is a liar. Walking away, the older postman scoffed, saying he had some real nerve. The old-timer invited the kid to tag along. But Woo Jung-guk questioned where the senior was even headed to make such an offer. The old man claimed they had the same destination. Woo Jung-guk scoffed, asking if he actually knew where he was going. The senior claimed Buchanan, but Woo Jung-guk corrected him, saying his route was toward Incheon. The old man insisted they go together, but you and I both know he was just trying to pull Woo Jung-guk out of a bad spot. You and I are starting this ride with Woo Jung-guk, who instantly smells trouble when the other postman joins that hooded squad. This old guy warns that a nearby colony has blocked off the territory. Naturally, Woo Jung-guk demands to know how he figured that out. Just raw intuition, the elder shrugs. Woo Jung-guk quickly marks him as a highly experienced, yet totally eccentric veteran. Since they both had the same escape route in mind, Jung-guk suggests they just split up and go solo. No chance. The old man is tagging along to Incheon. Jung-guk protests, but the stubborn elder simply smiles and says perfect. They are officially traveling together. Despite the elder's heavy, imposing pressure, Jung-guk keeps his cool and introduces himself. Turns out, the old-timer shares the same family name. He is a Woo, too. He claims all Woos come from the Danyang clan, making them basically brothers. He claims he felt that connection instantly. Jung-guk lets this self-proclaimed intuition master tag along, chalking it up to a calculated risk. The elder asks if he is really delivering to the AAA, a zone dead to all signals. Jung-guk simply says, it is his job. Now, pay attention to this part, guys. This old guy easily matches his pace after turning down the hooded squad to go solo. Just as our postman had already suspected from the start, the elder saw right through that group, silently shifting next to him without a sound. He is definitely a dangerous pro. As darkness begins to fall, Jung-guk suggests they hole up in a nearby abandoned building for 2 hours. Inside the pitch-black shelter, Jung-guk notices the old-timer knocked out fast. Or maybe he is just faking it. The guy is even sleeping with his hand firmly on his bag, likely holding a hidden weapon. Jung-guk plans to rest for 30 minutes before taking watch. But the second he closes his eyes, a strange noise echoes. He whips out his gun, only to find himself staring down the barrel of the other postman's weapon. Both realize they are not enemies, immediately freezing as they track the sound of a third person creeping closer. The elder calls out to Kim. Shaking, Kim explains he trusted those hooded guys, but they totally played him, stole his gear, and left him for dead. Jung-guk commands him to freeze, instantly firing a warning shot right at his feet to stop him cold. But then, Kim unzips his jacket, revealing a deadly bomb strapped to his chest. Shocked, the elder demands answers. Kim gasps that they had a kid with them, so he thought they were safe. Jung-guk scoffs. That is the oldest trick in the scavenger playbook. They lied about having a safe haven, and no sane colony would ever drag a 5-year-old child out on a dangerous field run like this. The kid was just a tool to make targets drop their guard. You and I both know they are dead if they move. Worse, the elder realizes enemies are likely watching the building. Jung-guk knows the bomber is hiding nearby, finger on the trigger, waiting to blow them all up. They set Kim up as live bait to wipe out any good Samaritans before scavenging the leftover scraps. Jungkook apologizes but tells Kim he is already gone, ordering the others to pack up. Kim begs them not to run. Jungkook orders him to stay flat, asking where the charges are. Kim whimpers that it is only on his front. As Kim lies down, Jungkook demands any intel he has on these bastards before they have to leave. Kim reveals they have dozens of fighters led by two guys, and they are actively hiring mercenaries to raid another colony. He doesn't know the location. Still, Jungkook realizes that hiring mercenaries means these guys are no ordinary highway bandits. They are a massive syndicate, and that negotiator from earlier is definitely one of their big bosses. The elder grunts, promising to report everything once they safely reach headquarters. Kim asks if there is any hope. Jungkook softly replies that knowing your end and preparing your soul is a rare blessing. In this wasteland, you can get sniped, bombed, or eaten by monsters at any given second. Countless souls vanish instantly here. They quietly slip away, and behind them, the building erupts into a fiery grave. The next morning, over a light breakfast, the elder asks why Jungkook wanted so much info on those scavengers. Jungkook shrugs. They attacked a postman, which means he has to file a detailed report. He simply needs the facts. The old man asks if it is just a report, or if he is hunting revenge. The elder notes that Kim possessed a powerful core but chose not to activate it until the absolute end. Jungkook calls those looters lucky. The elder disagrees, explaining it was a volatile skill core with a 98% failure rate. And that leaves us wondering, would you gamble on those odds when you are staring death in the face? Let's dive into a world where our main character, Woo Jungkook, knows that facing death is never as easy as it looks. The old man muttered that Woo Jungkook was a total beast, especially with that rare dual-barrel pistol sporting a built-in laser sight. Jungkook told him to keep it quiet. But the old guy just laughed. Who would ever believe a mailman carrying a hunter's weapon? Jungkook claimed he just stumbled onto it nearby, but the old man saw right through him and told him to stop lying. Truth was, Jungkook had secretly swiped it right after turning in his gear the day he decided to retire from being a hunter. Playing nice in a group or teaching rookies? Yeah, that was never his style. Flying solo as a postman was the dream job. Too bad this current delivery was turning out to be anything but normal. With darkness creeping in, they needed a place to bunk down. But the old man warned him the building ahead was bad news. Monster tracks were everywhere, but as Jungkook's eyes shifted color, his unique ability calculated a measly 4% chance of absolute disaster. He calmly assured the old man that the odds of danger were incredibly low. He was just trusting his gut, same as his companion. When Jungkook finally opened his eyes, he had no clue how long he slept. Morning light was breaking, and Jungkook was completely alone. The old man had vanished, and that was a massive, critical mistake. Now, pay close attention here. Jungkook didn't even hear the old guy slip away, which meant he had totally let his guard down and gone soft again. Slipping up like this was becoming a habit. He stopped beating himself up over it to save his own sanity. But then, peering into the distance, he spotted the massive AAA anti-aircraft artillery cannons looming ahead. This fortress was built by military deserters who stole these ancient relics. To them, these massive cannons were their ultimate shield and pride. They were old-world weapons, originally built to blast fighter jets right out of the sky. But Jungkook knew these goons repurposed them to shred ground targets. Eventually, even the government abandoned this lawless zone. They called it the settlement without hope. The real headache now? Figuring out how to sneak inside. It reminded him of Dr. Mong asking why a lazy guy like him would ever volunteer for a suicide mission that the government avoided at all costs. He'd simply replied that he only works hard when he absolutely has to, and hey, he's always had crazy good luck. As Jungkook walked up, a guard barked that they don't take mail and told him to beat it. Jungkook just smiled, saying they clearly don't know how mailmen operate. Besides dropping off mail, they also warn people about incoming airstrikes. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is some dark threat coming? Nope, Jungkook was just there for a basic letter. The soldier pointed a finger at the massive cannon behind him and made a threat. He warned that one signal would rip Jungkook in half, but our postman knew that in a world where ammo is gold, they would never waste a precious shell on him. It was a scary weapon, but totally a bluff. He wasn't entirely sure, but luck was on his side. Walking right up to the guard, he explained that delivering a letter to this hostile outpost would make his delivery ranking absolutely skyrocket. Skip 10 easy deliveries in safe zones. One high-risk drop here would level him up instantly. Dr. Mong called him lucky, but he knew the real truth. Let's be real. Being born into a literal apocalypse proved he had no luck at all. The guards stared at him like he was a total lunatic. but Jungkook insisted on making his delivery anyway, regardless of the threat. Yet, the reason he kept surviving the jaws of death wasn't pure luck at all. He could literally see probability. He suddenly grabbed the barrel of the guard's gun and pressed it right against his own forehead, challenging the soldier to pull the trigger or take the mail, betting his life that their massive cannons were completely out of ammo. Panic set in as the guard wondered how on earth this crazy kid knew they were out of ammo after their last hunt. Even worse, his rifle was being yanked away with zero effort. Why was this kid so insanely strong, and why was he smiling like a psycho? No sane, battle-hardened soldier would ever grin with a loaded weapon shoved against his skull. Jungkook shoved the rifle back, sending the guard crashing to the dirt. The terrified soldier realized this mailman was obsessed and completely unhinged. When another guard approached, Jungkook raised his hands, stating he was only here to deliver mail, and asking if they could work out a deal. The newcomer snapped that they don't negotiate with outsiders, but then paused, asking if he was the legendary First Sergeant Woo Jungkook. This instantly brought back memories of Young Han, who once remarked that Jungkook's official military record was suspiciously spotless. Long before delivering letters, Jungkook worked in the shadows as an elite hunter instructor, molding green rookies into ruthless survivors. His sole duty was teaching rookies how to survive. But trust me, you and I are about to see that something went horribly wrong. Let's dive into a world overrun by monsters, where our main character realizes team play is not his style. He went from solo hunter to a demoted soldier. Falling from colonel to first sergeant, they threw him straight into a frontline suicide squad. They basically sent him off to die. But during those brutal days, a very strange guy joined his command. This guy always smiled and talked in old-school military slang, acting like some hyper-formal soldier from a long-lost era. And that very man stands before him now, mentioning it had been forever since they allowed outsiders. Woo Jungkook instantly recognized that face. The guy jokes that nobody else here will welcome him, admitting he lost track of how many years went by. Woo Jungkook notes that his old buddy also became a first sergeant. Smiling, the man asks how he should address him now. Woo Jungkook replies he is just a postman, but to deliver the letter, he must first meet the captain. Woo Jungkook asks if that is standard protocol. Turns out it is, and he absolutely despises formalities. Once they arrive, the sergeant is dismissed, leaving the captain completely alone with our postman. The captain asks if he caused all that chaos outside. Woo Jungkook calmly denies making a scene. Knowing he is friends with Sergeant Jun, the captain asks if he was once a soldier. Woo Jungkook nods. Now pay attention here. While this outpost looks decent from the outside, our main character is scanning for trouble. Trash is piled everywhere, everything smells of rot, and they lack basic supplies. They are living right on the edge. The captain demands a proper military introduction, wanting to show him exactly how things are run around here. Woo Junk fires back that he is just a postman now, and does not need those useless formalities. He strictly does things his own way, reciting a funny corporate slogan about fast and precise deliveries as an official postman of the Republic of Korea who guarantees delivery within 1 week. The captain is completely grossed out by that bizarre speech. Woo Junk replies that it is protocol, and every professional job is kind of disgusting. The postman is just here to do his job, delivering a specific letter directly into the recipient's hands. The captain explains that AAA is at war with the monopoly government, meaning they do not send or receive official mail. Under normal circumstances, they would never let an outsider inside. But Sergeant Young vouched that Woo Jungkook is built different. Since he meets the requirements, the captain will allow this single letter, but Woo Junk asks about the catch. Basically, the captain offers a trade. He will help with the letter if Woo Junk helps him escape. Trust me, this changes everything. Later, Woo Jungkook goes up to inspect the anti-aircraft cannons on the roof. Sergeant Yang asks what he is doing, and he replies he is just checking the equipment. Just 30 minutes earlier, Woo Junk had told the captain that risking his life for one letter makes no sense. The captain offered a solid payment, handing over a heavy bag filled with 25 harvested cores. Woo Jungkook tells him to let the other troops know he is inspecting the defense cannons in exchange for delivering his letter. The captain asks if this is his escape plan. In the worst case, they might have to sabotage the cannons. Sergeant Yong asks if the captain actually ordered this inspection. Woo Jungkook confirms it, stating there is no other way to deliver the letter while keeping their original escape plan intact. If he had refused the captain, they probably would have kicked him out before he could finish his job. It looks like he just got himself dragged into a massive mess. He looks around just to be safe. Young remarks that the sergeant has a sharp eye for these things. He insists he is just a postman, but with his unique ability, he can easily spot any hidden issues. He can read exactly how machines function, predict when they will break down, and see the exact failure rates as numbers floating in midair. However, there is a catch. For absolute precision, he must make direct physical contact. He calls this process communion. Once linked with an object, he can monitor it clearly from any distance. That is why he inspects the cannons, reporting everything is fine. Jung notices he looks disappointed, but is amazed by his speed. Woo Junk says he only did a quick scan. Jung realizes his special skill only lets him analyze things, not actually change them. He asks to lead him to the delivery point, but you and I know he is secretly planning to sabotage those cannons. You and I are diving right into a mystery, as Woo Jungkook asks his guide about a target named Join Hai. Jung explains she is a local vet who had to step up as a human doctor because they are so short-staffed. She actually left the military once the barracks went up, choosing a quiet civilian life with her younger sister instead. Jung figures she will be way more reasonable than those uptight soldiers. But he warns it won't be easy because the older sister is extremely paranoid. Approaching the house where the two sisters live, Woo Jungkook keeps wondering what kind of relationship this Young Han guy actually has with them. Jung warns that if they want a smooth delivery, they have to tread very carefully. The younger sister is supposedly sweet, while the older one is beautiful but incredibly tough to handle. Yet despite his own warning, Jung literally kicks the door until an angry woman finally storms out. The fierce blonde demands to know who he is, so Woo Jungkook bluntly asks if her eyes are just for decoration before telling her to fetch her sister because the mail has arrived. The recipient has to confirm. Now pay attention here, because she unexpectedly invites them inside, shocking even Jung as the letter is placed on the table. Apologizing for her earlier cold shoulder, she introduces herself as Jo Shin-hee. She mentions her sister slipped away somewhere and asks if this hardworking postman needs a formal proof of delivery today. She accepts it, and Woo Jungkook realizes that despite their highly complicated journey, delivering the letter was actually surprisingly easy. He takes the receipt, but it is written on an old envelope previously sent to her, and something feels off. This proves Shin-hee has gotten letters from Young Han before, which contradicts everything the soldiers claimed. He had never heard of a successful mail delivery here, as the AAA headquarters would definitely not ignore a rogue courier. So, Woo Jungkook asks her straight up if she is using an illegal delivery service. Unlike official government channels, these black market runners bypass all legal protocols for quick, personal gain. She admits she never expected that, having assumed he was one of those illegal runners. Woo Jungkook replies that while he loves extra cash, he is just an ordinary postman following rules. She chuckles, noting that surviving the journey to her door proves he is anything but ordinary. He asks how she is secretly exchanging messages behind the AAA's back, but she quickly corrects him. We are finally getting some answers here. Young Han is actually her younger brother sending one-way mail. He only needs to know she is still alive, nothing else. As Woo Jungkook heads out, she asks if the masked postman who hides his face has ever appeared before him. He says yes, admitting he has heard several rumors. Supposedly he is a beast, but Woo Jungkook is highly skeptical because the guy's official score is total trash. Maybe he is the black market runner, backed by some incredibly powerful player behind the scenes. He is a shady character, and Shin-hee admits she hates that creepy, suffocating mask he always wears. Woo Jungkook jokes that maybe the guy is just insecure about his looks. She playfully asks if Woo Jungkook goes barefaced because he is confident in his looks, calling him quite handsome. Taking his proof, Woo Jungkook prepares to leave when Shin-hee asks him to tell her sister to head home if they meet along the way. Woo Jungkook mentions he has absolutely no idea what she looks like, but Shin-hee promises he will recognize her the second he sees her. Woo Jungkook finally deciphers that dead soldier's final words, but his dangerous journey is far from over. He needs to speak with the captain, but a nearby soldier stops him, marveling that it is the first time he has ever seen that woman let anyone inside. Telling him to shut up, Woo Jungkook asks what he really thinks of their captain, and if he actually trusts him. Later, Woo Jungkook slips back into the captain's office. The captain says he has already completed his preparations, asking if there's any issue with the luggage he packed for their life after the escape. Woo Jungkook asks a simple question, making the captain flinch. Sensing something off, Woo Jungkook asks what is inside the bags, and the captain quickly lists off clothes, trade items, food, and basic survival gear. Woo Jungkook agrees those are vital, meaning they can leave the bags behind. They only need survival gear if they actually make it out alive, which is basic common sense. He says they must discard any immediate burdens, but the captain argues that acting without a plan for the future is reckless. And trust me, you and I know those bags do not contain normal survival gear. Alright, you and I are diving right back in. When Woo Jung-guk presses on his luggage, a muffled scream rings out. He definitely did not expect his supplies to start shouting. A blonde girl climbs right out of the bag, casually waving, "Hello." Recognizing her, Jung-guk asks if she is Shin-hae's younger sister, mentioning he just talked to her and that she was supposed to go home soon. Turning to the captain, he demands an explanation. He had figured this escape was only meant for 2 people. He wants a higher payout to take this on. She introduces herself as Joanna, excited to finally work together. Later, while discussing the plan, the captain asks if just 3 of them are enough. Jung-guk disagrees, saying Joanna's presence forces a complete overhaul of the operation. He reveals they actually have 2 more people joining. The captain wonders if Sergeant Yang is one of them. Jung-guk nods, prompting the captain to ask if the other is Shin-hae's mysterious masked ally. Jung-guk is completely shocked. Is that mysterious masked courier actually inside the AAA right now? The captain laughs, noting he is totally out of the loop, and asks if postmen never talk to each other. Jung-guk explains that postmen usually mind their own business. Survival is key, as long as they do not mess with each other's work. Now watch closely here if that masked guy thought another courier caught him. He definitely knows Jung-guk is lurking around the AAA. That is going to be a massive headache. The smartest move is to avoid him entirely during this mission. Jung-guk demands to know how the captain found out. The captain reveals the guy was in this very room just moments ago. Afterward, Jung-guk digs up some crucial intel on this masked courier, piecing together the captain's warnings. Turns out, this settlement is not as isolated as it looks. The AAA leadership is secretly dealing with the outside world, using the masked postman. Using him as a bridge, the top brass secures crucial intel and essential supplies from beyond the walls. Meanwhile, the clueless regular soldiers are left to starve, watch their food rot, and run completely out of ammunition. The masked courier is hoarding all the black market delivery fees while draining the entire facility's weapon reserves. The captain remembers the very first time this masked guy showed up. They actually had a package ready to send. Jung-guk points out it was likely a test. The captain nods, noting the courier played the loyal dog to the high command. But Jung-guk suspects the exact opposite is true. Those leaders are actually the masked man's personal puppets. I know what you are thinking, this guy is bad news. Still, Jung-guk pushes forward. Joanna asks if her stubborn sister will actually join their escape. Jung-guk admits he has not convinced Shin-hae yet, but he is fully prepared to drag her out by force if he has to. Curious, Joanna asks why he is putting in so much effort when he could easily just walk away. The captain brings up their 25 core payment, but Jung-guk reveals there is a bigger reason he has a job to finish. Some doctor keeps calling him a lost cause, but despite his cold exterior, he always delivers on a client's request, no matter what. Because the package Jung-hun requested him to deliver was never just a simple letter. Jung-guk has no idea what is written inside, but the goal is clear: getting his family out of the AAA and back to headquarters. The last words Jung-hun spoke were a promise: if the delivery is made within 2 days, everyone makes it back home safely. In other words, he is not just delivering mail, he is delivering the 2 sisters, ensuring they safely reach headquarters. Joanna grabs his hand, pleading with him to talk some sense into her stubborn sister. She admits her sister can be incredibly difficult, but she truly cares the most. As she holds his hand, Jung-guk notices a distinct callus on her finger. He reassures her it is fine, promising to either talk Shin-hae into it or literally drag her along. The captain chuckles, admitting he thought Sergeant Jong was totally exaggerating when he first described these couriers, but maybe he was telling the truth. The rumors say he wiped out an entire enemy squad completely alone, coming from a dark, black ops division you never want to cross. It looks like Jung-guk showed up here with the sole intention of saving everyone in this place. Our postman knocks on Shin-hae's door to break the news: the escape goes down tomorrow night. They do not need heavy baggage, just the absolute essentials. But Shin-hae instantly fires back, reminding him she never agreed to run away. She demands that he send Joanna straight back if he locates her, refusing to leave under any circumstances whatsoever. Jung-guk asks if her grand plan is to just rot inside the AAA until it collapses around her little sister. She admits this fortress is completely hopeless, but argues that escaping to the ruined outside world is not any better. But Jung-guk counters that at least they will be together, making a solemn vow to get them all out safely. By the next morning, Jung-guk finalizes every last detail. The clueless leadership does not suspect a single thing. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next, because as they step into the pouring rain, the defense cannons suddenly open fire. Let's dive into a crazy world where Woo Junk orders everyone to scatter. One soldier loses an arm, and a mysterious masked figure commands the cannons to fire. The captain, who had been in contact with Woo Jung-kook just moments before, went straight to the rebel commander of the AAA to report a troubling postman who was causing major chaos. Entering the room, the captain saw stacks of food and water, realizing the commander was living like royalty, so he agreed. He had crucial info on that postman. The day before, Woo Jung-guk laid out their plan to walk right out the front gate under the guise of an official trade. They probably forgot since they only saw the masked guy handling shady black market drops, but an actual official postman had finally arrived. Jo-anna asked what she was missing here. The captain explained that to these battle-weary soldiers, a postman was known as a golden carriage. Whenever a postman visited a base, it was custom to trade for his gear. Since he traveled from headquarters carrying extremely useful items everyone desperately needed. Woo Junk planned to use that very custom to their advantage. Only a handful of elite officers benefited from the masked courier's illegal runs. With the common soldiers starving, the command had absolutely nothing to lose. The key was convincing the command, through the captain's words. Now, watch closely. Woo Junk supposedly hid gear nearby, prompting the suspicious commander to ask if this intel was actually reliable. The captain assured him it was solid, promising Woo Jung-guk would personally lead a search party once the captain issued the official command. Later, Woo Jung-guk met up with Sergeant Young, who had already prepped all their firepower. The captain praised his effort and thanked him for joining this risky escape. Jung grimly recalled the fateful day monsters overran their base, while they were still blindly obeying commands from headquarters. On that day, they battled those beasts side by side, risking everything. They thought they were defending innocent civilians, but they were actually just protecting stolen goods embezzled by the corrupt higher-ups. They had thrown away their lives simply to buy time for moving that stolen cargo. The captain agreed that this betrayal was exactly why the grunt soldiers deserted and formed the AAA rebellion. But Young remembered something else, how the captain carried him on his back when he was right on the verge of death. The captain saved his life that day, and that is why he would follow him anywhere. The captain replied that once they escaped tonight, titles wouldn't matter anymore. Young could call him whatever he wanted. But suddenly, Young caught sight of a strange figure down the hallway. It looked like a hooded, masked shadow, but he quickly brushed it off as a trick of the light. Now, I know what you are thinking, Rain ruins plans, but Young smiled, calling this storm their ultimate luck. With the paperwork filed for Sergeant Young and the search group, only the anti-aircraft cannon remained as an obstacle. Young quietly asked if the captain was absolutely sure nobody would interrupt them while they worked. The captain reassured him that his unit controlled the artillery battery, meaning no guards would show up. Young could sabotage everything without any worries. Everything was set. He had disabled the firing lines of the heavy cannons at their exit, while Sergeant Young dealt with the guards' rifles. The moment they cleared the main gates, their only remaining task was to run for their lives. Woo Junk knew with absolute certainty that none of those weapons would fire tonight. The key was his unique communion skill, allowing him to track success probabilities from afar until dawn arrived. Currently, danger was at 0%. Determined to keep it that way, he gathered the sisters and arranged a meeting point with the captain. Staring at a crate overflowing with food, the captain noted the cruel irony of getting these coveted supplies right before throwing everything away. Meanwhile, over at the sentry post, some soldiers were casually discussing who had the next shift. But they suddenly spot a suspicious figure walking around, questioning what a civilian is doing in a highly secure zone. Another guard reminds him of Captain Choi's orders, explaining the postman had official clearance for a night visit, and pointing to his armband. Even so, the suspicious soldier remained highly skeptical, wondering what courier wears such creepy clothes, let alone a bizarre mask. In the next room, the man hands over 25 cores as payment. He laughed at how they did not even bring it up, especially since he had not charged them a dime. He admitted he wanted to collect after they got out, but the captain countered that doing so would only make things far too risky. Jungkook wondered why he even asked if he already knew the answer, but thanked him for the advance payment regardless. The commander then asked if he would get a refund if this escape attempt completely failed, and Jungkook replied that half was guaranteed back, and if he survived the failure, he would return the remaining half later. Jungkook asked about the strange core in his pack, but trust me, you and I will have to wait for that epic story. Let's dive right back in. The girl suddenly appears complaining about her outfit, but her sister says they had no choice. Since she is not military, she would stand out. Then she asks her sister if she should also wear a mask. Jung explains, the reports showed hidden medical supplies in the cargo, so Johan Hai must join them to inspect the goods on site before they enter the base. As for Ina, the paperwork listed the postman, Captain Choi, Johan Hai, and one extra companion. Jungkook notes that if such a sloppy report actually passed, the enemy command must not be on high alert. Time was running out, and their goal was simple: escape alive. They had to abandon any heavy gear that might slow them down, unless it was incredibly light and valuable. Carrying dead weight made absolutely no sense to him. Choi suggests grabbing anything useful during their run, like their stored smoke grenades, disposable gear, and a small stash of food. If any of that food was just going to slow them down, they should eat it now.